Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm Den Haring. My channel is Fish Den 365, and today is Topwater Tuesday! Can't wait to go to another Topwater video. Today we're going to have a fun one for you. I thought what we would do is show you how I organized the Topwater lures. So we're going to show you the wall of Topwaters here. We're going to go through all these different Topwaters that I have here. These are all lined up, ready to go whenever I need to go. And then perhaps more importantly, we're going to show you what's in these boxes, which is more Topwaters that we have prepared or ready to go. Some of these are ready to fish. Some are some secret lures, so you're going to want to see that. And then there's some others in here that back up what's on this wall. So without any further ado, I'm going to grab that camera. We're going to change the view and show you this. And then we're going to go over the shoulders so that you can see what we're doing with these boxes. Let's go. So let's start with the wall of baits here. The first ones we have here are a combination of some storm chug bugs and then this Bill Lewis Spitfire. One of my subscribers got me onto that lure last year and it was a lot of fun fishing. So I've got some Spitfires ready to go. These are all baits on this wall that at any given trip, before the trip, I will organize my box. I'll go through and pick whatever I want, put it in the box, and I'm ready to go for that particular fishing trip or for that particular week or whatever the case may be. Going down from here, we've got some really interesting baits. We've got some Vixens in here. We got the Rebel Jumpin' Minnow, which we just did a video about. We've got the Evergreen Shower Blows coming down here now. We've got some Zara Spooks of different sizes. Got some different lures here. These are some Bagley spinner type lures. There's a Dalton Special. Got some poppers here. Here we've got a bunch of Rebel poppers, Super Pop R's, which I really like. Got some homemade stuff here where I took a couple of Lucky Craft gunfish and made them into dragonflies. And we also have a number of head torpedoes and tiny torpedoes. Down here we have a bunch of ready to go Norman Top Dollars, my favorite topwater lure of all time. This here is a popper that's homemade. A gentleman by the name of Alan Carl made me several of these, great poppers. Here we've got some various poppers from Strike King and some others. Here's a Berkeley Frenzy. This one is a Poppin' Image. Down below here we've got a number of different types of loop lures. Most of these are River to Sea Whopper Ploppers. Down here we've got some real teeny, these are teeny pop R's and some other poppers here. There's one, the World Minnow, which I really liked from Shimano. Then up here we've got some different Walk the Dog baits. This is a Zip and Ziggy from Cultiva. This one is an old bait from Spro. Then we've got a Mega Bait here, and then this is another Zip and Ziggy. Up here we've got some Sammy 65s along with some Karashis, and this Piku Piku here. Up here we've got a bunch of different baits, some of which are Lucky Craft Gunfish. We have a Boy Howdy bait here. Here's a Bomber Badonkadonk. Here's a Phillips Ugly Albert hiding behind here. These are all baits that I think that I could use at any given point in time. Right here, this section here is Bagley's mullet, the finger mullet, which I really like. We've got a bunch of Strike King sexy dogs right here, along with there's a Sammy 125 in there with them. And then this is a bait from Jan's Netcraft that I like, wooden bait. Bunch of Sammy 100s and a 125 up here. Over here we've got some Zara Spooks of various colors, including a clear one. More Zara Spooks of various colors. Some oddball baits here, Topwaters, including a rat. And we got some more of the Head and Zara Spooks. Here we've got some of these new ones I can't wait to fish this year, which is the Sixth Sense Wake Bait. Looking forward to fishing that. This one here is a Bill Lewis Stutter Step. That's an unusual bait, but it's really easy to walk the dog with. Then we've got some more lures with spinners on them. This is a Rebel Spin R here. Here's a lure from Lucky Craft. Here's another little Rebel tiny spinner bait, not spinner bait, but a topwater spinner. Bunch of different ones there. Here's a Rico popper. It's a good bait. Some other walk the dog baits. Some more Karashis here. Some smaller down below here. Some smaller shower blows. And then up here we've got some different things in here. These are some unusual topwaters that I've collected over the years. This one here, this thing here flips around when the water goes over it. It's a weedless, supposed to be a weedless bait, and it is called a weed walker, and it's made by Norman. A Norman weed walker. And then we get into some lipless crankbaits and a bunch of other baits here, but those are the main topwaters that we have here. Now we're going to change this camera angle so you can look over the shoulder so you can see what I've got in here. Alright, so let's show you some of the baits we have in here. Some of these are secret baits, some are just backups to the others, but I'm sure you'll find what I have in this box to be quite interesting. So the first ones here are a bunch of old head metal mouse baits that I just need to re-rig the hooks up on. They come with the hook configuration I don't like because the fish can wedge off the hooks, so I just redo it, and these are just waiting for me to take care of that. I'll probably do that next winter. I don't think I'm gonna have time to do it this year. I think I have one of these rigged up somewhere else ready to go. Even though I showed you most of what I have on the wall, I actually have other topwaters in another area here in the boathouse. What else do we have in here? So here's an oldie but a goodie. This is an old shad rack. This is a cool bait here. It's got spinners. My dad actually changed the spinners on this, but this is actually a topwater lure with the spinners. You put the hooks on there, and this is an old one, an old shad rack it's called. We've got a bunch of others like this. This is, my dad had made me these a while back. We used to call these heading blimps because they look like a blimp in the shape of the lure. Again, my dad made spinners for these. This actually was a heading 210, it was called. It had a ring around it, a metal ring around it, and I'm not quite sure how it worked, but my dad would remove the metal ring, put spinners on it, and back in the day we caught so many bass on these up at Shahola. A lot of good memories there. Here's another one, a head and wounded spook that my dad put spinners on. This one is an original here. This is a Nippididdy. I believe that's what this one's called. The original Nippididdy. This one has original spinners, and they sound really good in the water. I've caught a lot of fish on this, and it's just, again, I've gotten smart with how I want to do my hook arrangements for these. But this, over the years, has caught me a lot of fish, actually a number of years ago. Here's a head and dying flutter, kind of a cool bait, another topwater with spinners. That's what's mostly in here. Here's one that my dad modified. This was a crankbait. He pulled the lip off it, put spinners on it. Here's a backup Strike King Sexy Shad, just backing up one of the ones I have now, the exact same color. When I find a lure I like to back it up with additional baits. Got a couple extra tiny torpedoes in here. There's a bunch of jitterbugs that you can see here of different colors. These are jointed jitterbugs here. Got some standard ones as well. Here's a couple my dad actually, these were jointed, but he actually glued the joint on and just made a larger jitterbug. These actually work better than the jointed ones. Here's a couple of bomber badonkadonks. I already have a few of these, but these are backups. And then I've got a bunch in here and a bunch in their original packages yet. As you can see here, these are all Norman Top Dollars. This is a great bait. All right, let's put these back away. Let's go to the next box. This one is not very full. It's got some unusual baits in it. Here's a Zara spook that my dad modified, put spinners of his own on there. Here's Zara's version of it. They have one called a Wounded Spook from Headin' itself. This is the original. And we've got a couple of the Whopper Ploppers in here, so you can see. Here's a Whopper Plopper that my dad painted up a little bit with red, and here's another one where he added frog spots. Pure white one in here as well. Here's a bait by River to Sea called the Big Mistake. Big bait, shad looking. And I believe this one is made by Bass Pro Shops, kind of like a whopper plopper but in a frog shape. And same thing here. The next box is going to be an interesting one to show you because it's got some baits in here that are more collector items for me than anything else. So we'll dig a few of those out. So I've got some Zara Spooks in here with the hooks on them. And I don't intend to ever change these or fish them. And that is because they are Head and Zara Spooks, but if you see here, they're called Charlie Campbell Head and Zara Spooks. So they're the Charlie Campbell Signature Series. And I have several of these. And depending on the color, they're worth anywhere from like $40 to $80 these days. So they're gaining value as time goes on. I really like this one. I actually fished this one back in the day and caught some nice fish on it. Then I've got just some standard Zaras. This is this like bone colored one with yellow. I like that color. Here's a super spook from back in the day, a big one. These are all Zara Spooks of varying color here. Might be another Charlie Campbell in there somewhere. I actually have a Charlie Campbell that I modified. It was a frog colored one. It was the most popular one, so it didn't have as much value. I modified that one so that I could use it the way I like to use it. Then I have a bunch of these. I like a clear Zara Spook, sometimes in clear water. Something like this where the fish can't get a good look at it can be a very good bait to throw. I mentioned on my wall a little earlier a gentleman by the name of Alan Carl. He made these. These are handmade poppers. Look at that color on these things. Look at how that shines with a nice red mouth, some varying sizes. I wanted a bunch of these so that I had some left over in case I lost them. That's what these are doing in here. Now I've got a bunch here of the Spit and Image baits. People ask me if I fish these and what I thought about them. I haven't fished them that often. I really don't know a whole lot about them other than that they're very light for what they are. They do have a rattle in them, but they're extremely light. They got great colors on them. I really don't know how well they work because I really haven't given them a fair shot. Here's a good golden shiner color, really nice. Here's a bigger badonkadonk. Here's a bigger size. This would be good for Nakamixin. That's the size of a lot of the alewives in there. I got an extra Vixen here. This is a Reaction Innovations bait. Got some other extra baits in here. The Boy Howdy. Here's one of those mega baits chihuahuas that I like. I got a bunch of Rebel Super Pop R's in here, along with some other poppers. This is a Strike King here. Got a couple of these flies in here too. Sometimes I'd use these as a front runner. And then I've got this little guy, little teeny Pop R. This one's made by Bagley. This is an old, I believe, an old Bagley bait. Might have some value to it. Probably won't ever fish it. And this is another Bagley, Poppin' B2. Don't know if this has value to it, but it might. Then I have various poppers in here. All these are different various poppers. Let's take a look at the next box. Here's an unknown topwater walk dog bait. I have no idea who makes that one. Alright, and then I have here what I call top slop. So these are my topwater lures for all the weedy conditions that I like to fish. I got a ton of stuff in here. Hopefully you can see it. One of the things that I really like is a cheap bait, but a good one. This one is made by, it's called a Ninja Lily Mouse. and it's made by Savage Gear. And I've got a bunch of these in different colors because they really work. They work really well for me. They're a little different than this one. This one is the Live Target mouse, and it's a very soft mouse, a very good mouse. This catches me a lot of fish, but this one comes through cover better. See how those hooks are more in line and more on top of the bait? This one tends to get hung up a little more in weeds. So if the water's a little more open, I'll always go with the Copper's Live Target. But when I'm fishing thick slop, I'm throwing the Savage Gear Ninja Lily mouse. I got frogs of all shapes and sizes, as you can see in here. This, I think, is a Savage Gear, an old Savage Gear frog, I believe. So is this. Then I've got a Live Target bluegill here. These are interesting baits. The Bassarinsky. They work almost like a jitterbug. Here's one, the sprinkler frog. Then I've got a bunch of river to sea baits here. These are all river to sea bullywahs in varying sizes. So you got a big one, another big one, medium, and small. All bullywahs. They catch fish. I think this one's called a gavacho. This is a good bait. This is a real little one that I bought. It says "Eat Me" on it. This was made by the Guggen Squad people. And then this is one of my favorites. I'm actually missing one of my best ones. It's a different color. The same thing as this one though. This one's called the Teckle Honker Frog. This is a really good one because these metal feet clack and bang together and spin around and really make quite a commotion. They kick out of the water. I really like the honker frog. Caught some big fish on that. It's a similar bait here. I think this is a Live Target bait. Similar idea where they've used a Colorado blade on the back. This is a lunker hunt bait that I've modified a little bit where just the tails turn around. It doesn't have that extra hook coming out. It's very soft and it's very weedless and snagless. I'm going to catch fish on that. Here's a smaller frog. Then here I've got a number of different size Johnson silver minnows. These things catch fish. You put a trailer on the back of them and you can set it up so that it's weedless and goes right through pads and stuff like that. I intend to use this and make a video on this year because this is a lure that still catches them as good today as it did back in the day when it was really popular. But it's been forgotten about, which makes it a better lure now. And then I have a bunch of these baits in here. These are the Huddleston Weedless Shad. The hook is right here. Comes out of the back. I like to throw these in the pads. They have a nice death fall to them. They wiggle like this when they fall. They have a pretty good tail swim. They could be fished in open water. You can fish them in the pads. These are really good baits. Well, that's the quick tour of everything here in these boxes. Now, I have another at least 6 weeks worth of Topwater Tuesday videos that I can do from this point on because I've bought some Topwater lures recently in different. I was just down in Sarasota. I have a video that I made that I have to put out about a tackle store that I visited down there. There's a number of other Topwaters that I've already acquired. We're waiting to go on some of those. So I have plenty to do in the next several Topwater Tuesdays, but I thought I'd take time out and just show you how I have things laid out in my boxes and give you an idea of what I have here. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. When you do, hit that notification bell. That'll give you a notification for when the next video is available. Hope to see you on the water. Until we do, keep your line in the water, and as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.